I was growing up, I would hear different types of music, soundtrack music, and a lot of it, there was something kind of special, there was something kind of mysterious in the music that I liked. I couldn't really figure out what it was. And then I heard Gypsy Jazz, I heard Django Reinhardt. A lot of the Eastern European gypsy music, and I realized that there was something that was happening in that music that was resonating with me. Even though I'm from New York City, there was some kind of connection that was there already. I used to make movies, and I studied film at NYU. And we watched The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari in that program. And I was inspired from that time when I saw that. It was so beautiful and dark and mysterious, and it had this kind of elegant aspect to like the way the characters were communicating how they felt and everything. The acting was really amazing, and the sets were expressing this kind of internal, all the internal feeling was being expressed through the sets and the makeup and the costumes, and it had this sound. It reminded me of the Kurt Weill stuff that I used to like a lot, because it was actually around the same time, I think, in Germany. So Caligari was in 1919. I guess that was a little bit before Kurt Weill, but the German expressionist sound, like Bertolt Brecht and Kurt Weill, had a huge influence on me. So I was inspired by that, and I could see how it was like the first horror movie, but it wasn't just a horror movie. There was all these romantic elements to it. People talk about this as a silent film, but it's not really, it wasn't really meant to be silent. I don't think any of these silent films were supposed to be silent. They're supposed to have music. And we don't have the original score for Caligari, so it was kind of like a wide open canvas for me. Setting out to compose the soundtrack for the Caligari film was opening Pandora's box. There were so many ideas that started just coming to me, like music ideas. I started writing, and so much music, and it kind of became this living thing in its own way. It became like it was giving me the music, which was very interesting. And it's still the music is still kind of spewing forth new ideas, and new melodies are coming out all the time. And part of the reason I made it as a jazz score is because the jazz element allows that to happen. It's not set in stone. So every time we perform it, there's something new in it. There's something different. There's new melodies. It's an amazing thing. It kind of took on this life of its own. I was there to kind of funnel the music. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really powerful thing, actually. That's one of the reasons why I love to do this score. It has its own presence, you know. Like I made it, but it feels like it's alive. I sat down and I started just watching the movie without any sound, and I started to hear the music that should have been there, that was missing. And I started to kind of, my mind and who I am started to connect with the movie. And all the ideas just came out of that experience. I would sit there and I would just sit there with my guitar and come up with these melodies and colors and different chord progressions. And then I started to get ideas about how this music could reflect what's happening or somehow work with what's happening in the movie. And I started thinking about this obsessive, endless journey and this experience of this never-ending kind of feeling, like a song that cycles and it never ends. And you see that in the story of Caligari. You see this, you know, it's the character of Caligari it's almost like the character of Caligari is like this spirit that it inhabits the good doctor, and he makes him do these bad things, but it's this thing, it's like this demon almost, you know? So that came up with these cycles of music that modulate and repeat, and you can get lost in them, and they're obsessive, and it's just this kind of, almost like you can get into a trance with them. And the character in Caligari, Caesar, the somnambulist, is in a trance. He's lost in this dark world. Okay, so this was a big part of why I did this too. Is a lot of the scores that I had seen for this movie, they played up a lot of the darker elements and kind of the atonal, avant-garde aspects of it, but they didn't include the lyrical, kind of funny and sweet and romantic aspects of the movie, which there's a lot of. So some of it is through composed, some of it is improvised. So I created, for a lot of the work, I created a framework for improvisation. So I would create chord progressions, and I left a lot of room for us to improvise and react with the movie. So when we perform it live with the audience, the energy of the audience feeds into what we're doing. So it's never the same thing. That was a big aspect of it, because it's like this cauldron where all this music is just constantly erupting, and I didn't want to lock it into specific melodies, although there are specific melodies in there, and there are through composed parts that are definitely set in stone, but I left a lot of room for the musicians to improvise and take the melodies and the themes and explore them. And also I wanted to bring together these two things that I love, which were Django Reinhardt, Gypsy Jazz and Gypsy music, with avant-garde noise music. We live in a world where we can download almost anything, but you cannot download being in a room with acoustic music. That experience is something you have to actually be there for. So the value of that is really important these days, you know? Like being in the room where you share the air with the audience and with the musicians and with the screen, and creating something that allows something new to come out of that. So that whole experience is really important, was really important to me when I was thinking about doing this movie.